Our grand, adventurous marathon begins not with the bang of an exploding shark or even the bang of a falling truck. No, we begin instead on the side of the road, with a guy, a gal, a guitar case, and a low-key soundtrack. We begin with Steven Spielberg's first professional short film, and the one that, for all intents and purposes, started his career, Amblin. This short is often seen as just a footnote in the grand life of Steven Spielberg, and even he rarely talks about it. When asked to discuss it, he speaks with a mix of wry nostalgia and indifferent apathy, saying he made this merely to get himself noticed in Universal Studios. But he must hold some fondness for it, as it's what he called his production company, and despite the admittedly humble beginnings, the hallmarks of Spielberg, both in craft and in theme, are in full effect in this cute, fascinating tale of young love. I'll be talking spoilers, so if you wish, take 26 minutes to see this film on YouTube. Just stay away from the comments, they're full of incels and conspiracy theorists. The word of this story is simple. A hitchhiking dude with a guitar case meets a hitchhiking chick, and the two hit it off, trying to get transportation, having fun, trying drugs, and making love. The only thing is, the boy is incredibly protective of his guitar case. In the end, the two come across the ocean, and the boy runs into it with joy. The girl takes the opportunity to check the case, and inside she finds a suit and tie, a roll of toilet paper, and a book by Arthur C. Clarke. Bemused, she realizes that he isn't quite the free spirit that she thought he was, and that, sadly, they have no future together. She closes the case and walks away, the guy still prancing about the ocean, having the time of his life. For the average moviegoer, this film will probably not be very interesting. By the nature of the plot, not much really happens as it takes its sweet time telling its story. Also, the fact that the only way to view this is as a rip from YouTube from a film camera in the 60s means that it's honestly kind of ugly to look at. There's some color changes here that I'm pretty sure weren't intentional. But if you see this with the right mindset, that it's the humble debut of an up-and-coming talent, I think you'll find plenty to enjoy in this film. For example, the two leads are incredibly likable. Despite not saying a word, they display plenty of personality and emotion. There's even surprisingly some genuinely funny moments, like when the two try to get transportation by pretending to be injured or dying. The cinematography from future collaborator Alain Daviau is quite ambitious for a simple short, ranging from artsy to pristine. The soundtrack too is magical, giving off a low-key vibe that perfectly fits the mood of the short. Ultimately, however, this film is more interesting as one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's here where the seeds of Spielberg hallmarks are planted. Long tracking shots with expertly crafted blocking, heavy use of cross-cutting, showing things in rearview mirrors, the desert, a good eye for pictorialism, and of course, a sense of youthful bliss. What's more interesting are the things that aren't Spielberg hallmarks. For one, this is a more stylized, artsy movie than anything he's done since. The framing of the camera, use of freeze frames, and lack of dialogue broken only by occasional laughter, they all come together to make this an almost surreal experience, clearly the result of a young artist experimenting with his art form. But the style isn't the only thing that's different from modern-day Spielberg, it's also the subject matter. Topics like drugs and sex aren't something that Spielberg dealt with a lot when he started making features, and when they are dealt with, Spielberg isn't one to linger on them. Yet in this movie, they're given center stage. And finally, the most jarring thing about the film is that this movie is very, let's say, late 60s. And of course, it's no secret that the main character heavily reflects the real-life Spielberg. It's a young guy trying to find his place in the world, wanting to be radical, but unable to fully belong with the counterculture youth of his generation. He enjoys the hippie lifestyle, he would like to be a part of it, but he'll always be a square. It's a fascinating snapshot of the time period and of Spielberg's outlook on life, presented in a simple, low-key visual style. Overall, Amblin isn't an explosively exciting debut film and instead takes the opposite approach, trying to overwhelm you with tone and atmosphere and taking you on a ride where the destination is unimportant because it's the journey that matters, the journey that we'll remember. It's a dogma that, for better or for worse, Spielberg follows to this very day. It's a shame the movie hasn't gotten a proper restoration, if just for history's sake, if nothing else. Would have been a perfect addition to the Spielberg Director's Collection, but even in its crappy 360 rip-off YouTube, it's still fascinating. If you're as big a fan of him as I am, then Amblin is a must-see. It's a humble, special, interesting little film, and the herald of bigger and greater things to come.